What's up, everybody? Doug here with Leaving the Dream. Listen, I know this is a different story, but you're not going to want to miss this one. Multiple sources are reporting on this case. I will leave all those links in the description below. Make sure you click them so you get the original sources and find out where I'm getting this stuff from. This is coming live from Detroit, my hometown. This is crazy. Multiple news outlets are reporting 20-year-old Timesha Beauchamp was found unresponsive at her home at 7:30 in the morning, Sunday, August 23rd, 2020, after suffering a heart attack. Southfield paramedics and other first responders responded to the scene and performed life-saving maneuvers and CPR for 30 minutes unsuccessfully. WXYZ is reporting that EMTs on scene followed standard operating procedures and contacted the emergency room physician at Ascension Providence Hospital, who reviewed the patient's medical data and declared her dead on the scene. The paramedics then contacted the Oakland County Medical Examiner's office, saying that the declaration of death had been made and that there was no signs of foul play. Based on that information, a forensic pathologist released the body, which was still at the home, directly to the family so they could make funeral arrangements. Click on Detroit cited unnamed sources that claimed that Southfield police observed Beauchamp move and breathe and recalled the paramedics who were on the scene. But they were told by paramedics that that was just side effects of the medications that Beauchamp was on. Detroit Fire Department Deputy Dave Fornell told ABC that the funeral home told him that Beauchamp was going to be embalmed. So just before noon on the same day, just a couple of hours later, the funeral staff called the fire department and reported that when they got her back to the funeral home, her chest was moving up and down and she was breathing. They said that her eyes were opened. Dave Fornell reported that she even had a decent heart rate and a decent blood oxygen level, and that she was definitely alive. Beauchamp was then transported to Sinai Grace Hospital in Detroit. More than 24 hours after being declared dead, Beauchamp is now on a ventilator clinging to life at a local hospital. Beauchamp's mother said that they called her to tell her that her daughter was dead and she was gone. But then just a few hours later called her back and said she's not dead, she's breathing, she's being taken to the hospital. What officials found was shocking, and so they requested that it be kept off the radio. A medic called Beauchamp's mother and said, "I will give you a call on the phone to tell you what we have here." So when they called her, the mother said that they told her, "Your daughter's alive and on her way to Sinai Grace Hospital. She's breathing, she is alive." She said it was crazy because they had just called and basically devastated my life. And then they call me back and say, "No, ma'am, she's breathing. She's on her way to the hospital." So the family hired Michigan-based attorney Jeffrey Feiger. I'm sure you all know who he is. He successfully defended the assisted suicide Dr. Jack Kevorkian in the 90s. Jeffrey Feiger said that the concern now is that hour-and-a-half delay that she experienced between when she went to the funeral home and when she should have went to the hospital, what could that cost her in terms of her quality of life and her health in the future, if she even survives? That could have been very critical time to the long-term health of the victim. Feiger claimed they were about to embalm her. Had she not had her eyes open, they would have done it. They would have begun draining her blood, he said. He said it's one of people's worst nightmares to imagine having the ambulance called, and then instead of being brought to the hospital, you're brought to a funeral home in a body bag. And then the funeral home unzips the body bag to find the girl with her eyes open and breathing. That's exactly what happened in this case, Feiger said. Feiger also said that Beauchamp's godmother, who's a registered nurse, was on scene and told the EMTs that she felt a pulse. Seattle attorney Emily Albrecht says that she thinks the funeral home are the ones that are responsible for saving this girl's life. In a statement released by the city of Southfield, they said that the city of Southfield is conducting a thorough investigation in addition to the Oakland County Medical Authority, which will be reporting their findings to the state of Michigan Bureau of EMS, Trauma, and Preparedness. More information will be provided as it becomes available. The Oakland County Medical Examiner claimed that they didn't pick up Beauchamp's body for an autopsy due to her medical history and the fact that the declaration was already made and that there was no signs of foul play. Timesha's family said that she's a beautiful and caring 20-year-old woman with special needs. So that's it for now. I will keep you guys updated on this case. It sounds crazy to me. Can you imagine? I mean, I can't even imagine. You're alive, your eyes are open, and you're staring at the underside of a body bag. I mean, you're put in one of those creepy medical examiner vans, driven to the funeral home, dropped off, where they lay you there while they make arrangements. They got to sign her in. There's like toe tags and a bunch of stuff they got to do to document. And they're talking about her. How'd she die? Can you imagine? They're sitting there. They're like, "Oh, how'd this one die? Oh, she had a heart attack. She has special needs. You know, we found her like this." They tell her the whole thing, or however that works. And then all of a sudden, can you imagine the poor girl that goes to unzip her, or the guy? Like, can you imagine in your worst nightmares, especially if you work at a funeral home, you unzip the body and her eyes are open and she's breathing? Dude, that is insane to me. That is insane to me. And Jeffrey Feiger's right. Like, this hour and a half, I mean, I think it's a miracle. If they worked on her for 30 minutes with nothing, I just think that you shouldn't be able to declare death that easy. I don't think EMTs or paramedics should be able to declare death on scene like that and have the medical examiner declare it remotely. In Honolulu, we have attended deaths and unattended deaths. An attended death is when the attending physician who takes care of the person who died and knows that they have specific problems and they were expecting them to die. When that person dies, they will remotely sign the death certificate and send it over to the hospital. That's when we make an attended death. So there won't be an autopsy. It's basically like, this is why they died, and we knew that we expected this. An unattended death is any time that you have a doctor that won't sign off on the death certificate. Even if it was maybe expected, but the doctor doesn't want to sign it because they're not exactly sure. In this case, they thought she had a heart attack. She probably did have a heart attack. And then they worked on her for 30 minutes, and based on the signs at the scene and the vitals, and then giving the medical history, when they called the doctor at Ascension, the doctor was like, okay, I'm gonna call it. That seems like that's negligent to me. Like, you know what I mean? Bring her to the hospital so a doctor can look at her. Like, it's just the ride to the hospital. This poor girl, if she had died, like, it's the least you could do. Bring her to the hospital, let the attending look at her, take vitals, right? I mean, they still took her to a nearby hospital, a 20-minute drive. So work on her for those 20 minutes. The poor girl could have been alive. And now look, she was. And you know what I mean? That seems crazy to me. Seems like it was a little bit of oversight. I mean, mistakes can be made, I get that. And EMTs go through a lot of crazy stuff, and a lot of crazy stuff's happening at the hospital. But it just sounds crazy. Especially, I mean, this girl has special needs, so it's hard to communicate. You know what I mean? I don't know her story, but man, it just sounds crazy. That poor girl. I hope she makes it, and I hope she fully recovers. But in any case, if you want to look more into this, I got the links in the description. Go ahead and read more of that stuff. I'm sure things will be developing. This just happened yesterday, and it's just kind of breaking out today. Figured I'd report on it, let you guys know, because I thought it was a crazy story, and more people should know about this. So I appreciate you guys tuning in. Thank you for all the support. If you liked the video, make sure you hit the like button and subscribe to the channel if you want to see more videos like this. Ring that notification bell so that you know when more videos are coming out. And until the next time, aloha.